Welcome back to Guitar Quackery, where we use scientifically proven methods to fix, build, and study guitars. There's an old Chinese proverb that says, if you are a Gibson player, you might also want to keep some Epiphone guitars around. And today we have two Epiphone guitars that belong to an established musician who's actually a Gibson player. He has a few Epiphone guitars because sometimes he might have to play in places where bringing a Gibson is just too much to worry about. So, who is this guy? Well, it turns out this episode has a little bit of rock and roll trivia that might be of some interest to you if you happen to be a fan of Bo Diddley and or Ron Wood of the Rolling Stones. The two guitars I'll be working on belong to Jim Satten, who used to be Bo Diddley's lead guitar player in the 1980s and early 1990s. Jim also toured with Ron Wood, and I believe he also played a few gigs with Mick Taylor. Jim and I have known each other for almost half a century. Yeah, and today's my birthday. There are quite a few videos on YouTube with Jim Satten on stage with Bo Diddley and Ron Wood. So I'll just post some links in the description so that I don't have to deal with copyright issues on this channel. But I still wanted to show you who Jim is, or what he looks like. So I was looking for a picture of him and I found this old photo album. And in this photo album, I also found some pictures of Bo Diddley. So why don't I show you? I will show you some pictures here. So that's from 1995. You see? Old police car. Yeah, some guy. We want to look at this picture here. Now that's Jim Satten. Jim with his Gibson ES335. So Jim used to be Bo Diddley's guitar player. In other words, Jim Satten was the guitar player from the Bo Diddley band in the late 1980s and early 1990s. And here we have Bo Diddley. Now, on this picture, somewhere on this picture, you can see Bo Diddley's favorite guitar tech. Not this guy. Not her. Him. That's it. So, Bo Diddley himself used to be Bo Diddley's favorite guitar tech. Now, she's a friend of a friend of a friend. And we see them here again. Now, let's look at this picture here. So, here we have Bo Diddley about to be driven in style to his gig. And here, before the gig, that friend again, just hanging out. After the gig, Bo Diddley had to be driven to his hotel room. So here we have Bo Diddley again. Yeah? So you might be wondering who took these pictures. And I have a picture of the guy who took these pictures. There he is. He used to take a lot of pictures of Bo Diddley. He used to be a photographer, a rock and roll photographer. Now, he doesn't like to be on pictures, as you can tell. But his name is Freddie. All right? All right, that's enough. All right, so that's enough pictures for now. Now let's get back to business. Why don't I just show you the guitars and explain what's wrong with them? This one is an Epiphone J200, and Jim says that he gets some kind of intermittent hum coming out of both outputs. Now, that's already a clue, right? Because if both outputs have the exact same problem, it would be very unlikely that both outputs are somehow defective in the same way. So this leads me to believe that the problem is somewhere upstream. So how does this guitar work? Well, it has two pickups. One is under the saddle, one is here. and they are both connected to the preamplifier, and then you have a stereo output and a mono output. So when we start to dig in, I'm going to look at the two pickups first and the connections to the preamplifier. Why don't we listen to see if we can hear this hum? Let's plug it in here. Ah, I heard something. Uh-huh. Okay, so I get the idea. We're going to put the guitar on the bench and we are going to properly dissect it. The other one is an Epiphone Riviera that has some tuning stability issues. So I'm going to show you the tuner here on the screen, and we are going to try to tune it and bend some strings. It also is almost impossible to turn these two, the E and the A tuners. Somehow they're broken. So that's an E. All right, that's close enough. So now let's bend some strings. A bit flat, nothing crazy. Oh, did you hear that? Some clicking sounds, right? You heard that, yes? I heard a clicking sound here as well. And on the E string as well. So I already have my suspicion. Flat, flat, flat. So 9 times out of 10 we suspect the nut, string binding in the nut. So in other words, the string slots of the nut are pinching the string, and you have unequal tension between this part of the string here and the playable part of the string. However, this guitar has this kind of tailpiece, and these strings, this part of the string is also very long. So we're going to be also looking at this area when we put the guitar on the bench. Okay, so now let me just take guitar quackery. Oh, Jim, it's Jim Satten. Yeah? Jim wants to know how soon he'll be able to see at least one of those guitars back. Jim, good news. You'll be able to see both of them later tonight. Yeah, listed on eBay. All right, so let's put both guitars on the workbench one at a time and dig in. I've already removed the strings so that I can reach inside. What we want to do next is we just want to plug it in and do some basic testing so that hopefully we can find out what's wrong with this guitar. Once again, this guitar has 2 pickups. One of them is over here. We can hear that it's working, and the other one is right here. Oh. Well, I can clearly hear a hum, so we really want to focus our attention here. Let's remove this pickup. So right underneath here, there is some poster tack. Oh, here it is. All right, so I'll show you this. This is tacky material that is holding it securely underneath. Let's just pull it out. I can hear crackling, and also I can feel a cable retainer that's loose. Let me show you. Okay, so here's the pickup, and here's that loose cable retainer. So clearly there's crackling and there's hum cutting in and out. There's another cable retainer, so let's unhook the cable. Okay, and now let's unplug it. Oh, and now it's completely quiet. So I think that we've found our problem. So this pickup, it's also called a transducer sometimes, is made by Shadow Electronics. It is called a NanoFlex under-saddle pickup. And I think I know what happened to it. So there is a very delicate connection between the transducer and the lead wire right here under the string tubing. And it does not like to be exercised or flexed. So this here is a cable retainer that is supposed to be secured underneath the soundboard and stuck to the soundboard, and which function is to prevent any movement of this lead wire, because any movement can damage the little connection. So this came off and was just hanging loosely, and as the guitar is moved, it kept moving. So I believe that's our problem. We just need to find a replacement, and that's it. So now that we know what's wrong with the J200, let's take the other guitar and have a look. So this is our Epiphone Riviera. So it has some tuning stability issues. So we just plugged it in, and now let's have a look. All right, so I suspect that the problem might actually be here. Now, for this one, I think it would be better to use our microscope. Okay, so this way we can really see what is going on these saddles. Okay. Here is the G string saddle. So now let's try to tune it. I heard a click. Okay. Now let's try to bend the string. And let's see. I can hear crackling. I can even see this saddle move. Okay, so this is not stable. Now let's detune the string. And remove it. Let's zoom in a little bit. So this is what we find here. So clearly there's a lot of friction between the string and this saddle. I'm going to recommend to simply change the bridge and put a roller bridge in place. So now we are going to have to order some parts. We need a new pickup for the acoustic guitar, and we need a new saddle and new tuners for the Riviera. So that's going to take a few days, so I'll see you then. I found a listing for this exact pickup on the Shadow website, but as you can see, it says coming soon, so it's out of stock. All right, so that doesn't help. I found another listing for a reasonable price, $37. It's not exactly the same. I'm sure it would work. It just has a different connector. No big deal. But I looked further, and the only other listing I find is this one. This one for $45, 5 of them. They look the same connectors as this one, but it's coming from AliExpress, and the price is suspicious. So I don't know if it's a counterfeit. I would prefer not to buy counterfeits. So perhaps we'll buy this one for $37. But I just want to try and fix this one. Maybe we can just open it. It's already broken, so we have nothing to lose. Let's just dissect it and see what we see. Of course, we'll need a microscope to do that. And, let's see if we can just fix it. So there's some shrink tubing on this side, and some more shrink tubing here. We want to remove this thick shrink tubing that covers what I believe is the connection between the piezo element and the lead wire. So that's going to take some patience, but we need to cut, scratch the surface a little bit, and then try to crack it open. Now that I've scratched the surface, I want to use another tool. I want to use this tool to rip it open. So let's try that. Maybe I want to try to just pry the whole thing open. Let's zoom in a bit. Okay, so now it can be, we can just open it this way. It's actually not as hard as I thought. I just have to keep pushing this pointy tool and the plastic rips open. There you go. So now we have it open. I can simply remove this shrink tubing. I'm not sure what this is. Not what I expected to see. People always ask me how I learned to fix guitars. Well, it's the same way doctors learn to do surgery, right? Trial and error. So I'll just keep cutting until I see if I can fix it or not. Okay. So I'm doing the same exact thing with the inner layer of shrink tubing as I was doing before. So the idea is to just make a surface incision, just a scratch, and then rip it. Right? It takes some patience. I'm not sure what we're going to see here. Let's zoom in. At this point, I have a feeling we're going to buy that $37 replacement. So this piece seems to be glued on top of the shrink tubing. And I have to admit, I don't know how it works. It's going to take some research. So this is not going to be easy. Yeah, it's just glued on top. But somewhere here there is a physical connection between the piezoelectric element, and the lead wire. I seem to be scratching the surface here. Maybe we can just see what's there. So I don't believe that this part is fixable. Okay. All right. So we learned something new. And now you know why this channel is called Guitar Quackery. Just don't tell Jim. We're going to order that $37 part, replace everything quietly, and just give him back the guitar. Now let's just order this thing. We have $37. Add to basket. Here. I will order this, and then when the parts arrive, we will finish this video. Let's not forget the Epiphone Riviera. We need to order some tuners and a bridge. So let's start with the tuners. Jim says he's not too happy with these tuners. These two are very stiff. As you can see, I removed the strings. I'm only keeping these two. I'm going to explain why later. So first, let's determine the ratio on these tuners. I'm going to make a mark with the Sharpie here. And we are going to use this winder and count how many times we have to turn it for a full turn of the tuning post. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So those tuners are 14:1 tuning ratio. If we look at the back side, we can see that these are not the original tuners. There are some holes here. That's from the old close-on tuners, I guess that were there. These are Grovers. So we need to find tuners that will match these holes. So let's go on the StewMac website. Now, Jim already decided that he wants these close-on Revolution Series E-mount tuners for his guitar. Let's have a look at this picture. As you can see, the screw holes are in the exact same alignment as we have on the Grover tuners, so these will fit right in. One detail I want to show you is this. They have a 20:1 gear ratio. As you recall, the close-on tuners have a 14:1 gear ratio, so a 20:1 gear ratio will offer much more precise tuning adjustments. So let's just add one of those to the cart. And now we have to look at the bridge of the guitar. Now, before we place an order for a replacement bridge, we want to take some measurements off of this bridge. We want to know the distance between the two posts, the string spread, and the radius. Now, The radius is actually the only measurement that we don't want to take off of the actual bridge. And that's for two reasons. First, we don't really know if this is the original bridge, because if this is a replacement bridge, it might not be a bridge with the correct radius for this guitar, for this fretboard. The other reason is, if this is an old bridge, it might be a collapsed bridge. Some of these bridges collapse over time under string pressure, and they become flatter. And then, once again, the radius of the bridge does not match the radius of the frets. So what we want to do instead is measure the radius of our frets. We are going to use radius gauges to do this measurement. That's a 12-inch radius gauge. So we just fit it under the strings and over the fret, and then we try to see if there's a little gap either in the center or on the sides. Now, when it's a close match, it's actually hard to see if there's a tiny gap. So we can use some tricks. We can shine a light to see if it shines through, or what I prefer to do is easier for me, is just to use a very thin feeler gauge. So I'm going to try to shove it between the radius gauge and the fret. And as you can see, it doesn't fit on the side. It fits through the center, and once again, it's catching on the other side. So this tells me that this 12-inch radius gauge is actually more curved than this fret that I was measuring. So this fret has a higher number radius. The next number up is a 14-inch. So let's try the 14-inch radius gauge. So now we repeat the procedure, and as you can see, we do have a tighter fit. In fact, I cannot shove the feeler gauge through. So this means that the fret I just measured is a 14-inch radius fret. Now, if I were to use a 16-inch radius gauge, just to show you what would happen, this radius gauge would be less curved than the fret, which means that I would be able to shove the feeler gauge on the sides, and then it would catch in the middle. Same on the other side. So now that we know that we need a 14-inch radius bridge, we need to take the other measurements. The first measurement we're going to take is going to be our string spread. So this is now in millimeters. So we go from string to string, and it's about 52 millimeters and change. Now, the extra measurement is basically because of the thickness of the string. So if we convert this into inches, we see that this is 2.0 and change. So it's basically a 2-inch string spread. Now, if we go back to millimeters, we'll try to measure the distance between the two posts. So now you might be tempted to try to measure, to try to eyeball the centers of the posts and take a measurement in that way. And you will get a fairly accurate measurement, but there is actually a better way to do it. And for that, I need to release the strings tension and remove the bridge. So now you know why I only put 2 strings on this guitar to do this work. So now that we've released the string tension, we remove the bridge. And now that the bridge is off, we remove these posts. So I don't want to use the post to do this measurement because they are wiggly. So I want to use the bushings on the actual guitar because they do not move. So now, if you think about it, the distance between these two centers is the same as the distance from the two, let's say, outer edges. But it's hard to measure the outer edge on this side. So that distance is this entire distance minus the diameter of one of the two bushings. So now, it doesn't really matter what the diameter of the bushing is. what we do is we just take the measurement and then we zero it out. So now it's 0. So this 0 point actually starts at this edge here, but it starts on the counter at that edge. But we are measuring this entire distance. And this now reads 73.6 millimeters. Now, if I close the caliper, I'm going to get minus 14 and change. But if I zero it out and I go to 73.6, okay, this is close enough. It is in fact the distance between the two centers. So now that we know all the measurements for the bridge, we can go back to the StewMac website and order a replacement bridge. One important detail that we need to take into consideration is the fact that we're ordering a bridge for an Epiphone guitar, which means that these posts and these bushings have a metric thread. So the only roller bridge, roller to pneumatic bridge that I find on the StewMac website that has metric posts is this locking roller bridge. So let's look at these, the blueprint to see the measurements. As you can see, it is a 2-inch string spread, which here is expressed as 50.8 millimeters, although we measured 52 millimeters and change. That's close enough. The distance between the posts here is 74.17 millimeters. It's a little more than what we measured. We measured 73.6. And that's close enough because these posts actually wiggle, and also the two holes on the actual bridge are larger diameter than these posts, and that's to give it room to move. So this will work. As you can see, this is a 14-inch radius bridge, and it has metric posts M8. So now that we know all that, we need to choose our finish. It comes in chrome and gold. Obviously, we need chrome for this guitar, and we add to cart. And now I just need to check out. Oh, actually, I should switch to this screen, right? So that you don't see my credit card number. Oh, I mean, it's not you, it's those other people, right? I don't want them to see my credit card number. I trust you, obviously. Okay, and enter. All right, so now it's been ordered. Now all we have, is that your phone?
It's a delivery.
What delivery?
Some package.
What package?
I don't know.
Bring me the package. Yeah. Oh, no, you stay out of the camera, okay? This is my show. Okay, just give me the package, okay?
Here you go.
Okay, thank you. Oh, look at that. StewMac. Okay, it's already here. You know, what a fantastic service. You know, StewMac is so amazing. I mean, I really have to tell you, I you know, rarely experience such a good service as I get from StewMac. So now we can open it. Okay. Oh, and here are the Closon tuners. Okay, they've arrived, and the other goodie is our bridge that we just ordered. Right? It's right there. So now that we have everything, we could just continue, right? And we can simply start changing those toners. In the interest of time, I will show you how to remove one tuner, and obviously the other 5 are the same. So what you need is a 10 millimeter socket wrench. If you don't have that, I do recommend these spanner wrenches. I did talk about them in one show. But here, you basically remove this bushing. And then on the other side, there is a screw. There's really nothing to it. And that's a Phillips head in this case. You remove that. And that's how you remove those tuners. Okay. So now, I'm glad we have editing options with, computers, because I was able to do everything off camera. And now we have the new tuners installed. Those are the new close-on. For now, I put the same 2 strings back. But now, I really want to have a closer look at that bridge. So, before we install this bridge, we want to make sure that everything works as it should. So this is what's in the package. There are 2 posts and 2 bushings. Now, the bushings are these. They are exactly the same as the bushings that are on the guitar now. Now that's from a different bridge, a different guitar, but this thread is the M8 thread. It's the same metric thread. So there's really no reason to change the bushings. Now, you will notice that they wiggle, and they're all like that. Some techs like to take plumber's Teflon tape and wrap it around to make it more of a tight fit. There's differences in opinion about that, and we can talk about that in another show. Now let's look at the bridge. So the bridge itself has a lot of adjustments. So first, the slot is not round. It's whatever the shape is called, so that it can go from left to right. So we can actually tilt the bridge, and then we can lock it once we get it into position. The saddles are locked with these little screws, so we can just untwist a little bit and move the saddle forward or back. We also have the option of turning the saddle around and moving the screw from this side to this side. So it seems like a lot of versatility on this bridge. I am not too crazy about the adjustment right under the string, but I did notice that the screw is a little bit offset, so you can probably put the Allen wrench right next to the string in order to release and tighten the screw. If you've watched any past Guitar Quackery episodes, you know that I like to look at everything under a microscope. So I'm going to put this bridge under a microscope and test the rollers so that we can have a really close-up look at that. And to test the rollers, I will use this piece of rubber band. Okay? So let's have a look. So here's our close-up view of our roller saddle. I can see that it wiggles a little bit. Okay? And we are going to use this rubber band to see if we can spin it easily. And yes, I can see that we can spin it. Now let's move on to the next saddle. Now we can even zoom in a little bit here. See, we're equipped. And this one spins freely as well. Okay? That's what we want to see. A little focus won't hurt. Let's see this one. It spins. All right? That was the G. Now the D string. Let's see this one. Oh, this one gets stuck a little bit. So this is not what we wanted to see. So I wonder if there's a piece of metal shaving or something that's stuck, but we really need to look at this saddle. Here's the A string. It spins freely. And the low E string. So look at that one. No, nothing. It seems like it's resisting. Now that is not what I was hoping to see. It seems to be completely stuck. So it seems like we are going to have to do some repair. So I'm obviously not too happy about that. So it seems like we're going to have to repair two of the saddles, and well, let's have a go at it. So the D string was not as bad. So we just remove, well, you see, it's not even moving. So something is stuck there. I wonder, yeah. I don't know. It seems like I'm going to have to do some repair, or maybe return it, or find a new bridge that works better. But that is not good news. And now let's see what's happening with the E, low E saddle. Yeah, I can't move this thing. It seems like we're going to have to bring our microscope back in service and see if we can fix this. All right, so this is the low E string saddle. I don't really know why it's not moving. Maybe we can see something from here. Let's zoom in a little bit. Well, I just feel that that this wheel is just too trapped here. It's squeezed, and it's not going to move. That's the E saddle. Now this other one, D string, was moving a little bit, and now it doesn't seem to be moving anymore. Let's zoom in. Well, same thing, I just feel that it's too tight. You know what? I'm just not going to mess with that bridge. I'm going to return it. And you know what else? When you've been fixing guitars for a while and you need to order parts, you learn one thing from past mistakes. Never rely on one replacement part. So I already ordered some more. Initially, I wanted to order a Faber. I was hoping to order a Faber bridge, but Faber doesn't seem to make two pneumatic bridges with roller saddles. So I went on Amazon and I ordered two bridges from two different vendors. Now this one has metric threaded posts, and as you can see, it has a 14-inch radius. I also ordered another one. This one also has metric threaded posts and also has a 14-inch radius. So I simply ordered those two, and they are here now, and I can show you what they look like. Surprise, surprise. they come from two different vendors. It seems like they come from two different manufacturers, but if you look at the bridges, they are identical. Both of them have BM003 stamped, well, embossed, whatever it is, on the bottom, and they look identical. So we are going to put both of them under the microscope and do the same test to make sure they work. Let's call this bridge number 1. We can zoom in all the way to see the quality of the saddle. And let's do that same rubber band test. So here we see that it moves freely. So far so good. Let's move to the next saddle. Good. Next one up. Very nice. I seem to be detecting some motion here. We need to double check that. Okay, this is good. And last one. So all of these rollers move nicely, but I don't like that one saddle that was moving. So let's check all the saddles as well. So this one has a little motion, not too much. Next one is sturdier. I can't move it. This one here moves a lot. So I'm not sure what's up with that, but I don't like it. It's too wiggly. This one is nice and steady. Nice and steady. Nice and steady. So now we need to look at the other bridge. So why don't we check if the saddles are steady, sturdy. There's a little motion here. Sturdy. A little wiggly motion. And sturdy. Yeah, I don't like it. So, we're gonna have to decide which one to use. Maybe we install one, order a few extra ones, and then keep the best one. Here, it does not turn. This one turns. It turns a little bit and then gets stuck. I feel it gets stuck a little bit. And this one's the only one that's turning freely. Yeah, at this point, I'm just going to have to make a decision and use one of them, and then perhaps deal with some kind of replacement at some later point. So I did buy two of them. This one I feel it's the better one. It does have a wiggly saddle, but all of the rollers move. Here, the rollers are stiff. They don't move. It doesn't even serve its purpose. Now, this one is called Kaish, and it says that it's made in Korea. And this one here is made in China. They both say BM003, but perhaps this one is in fact some kind of a knockoff of this one. I'm not sure at this point. So we need to move on, and we need to take Jim's guitar. The new tuners are on. We need to put the bridge on and see if everything works as it should. We are now going to swap the bridge. It's always a good idea to protect the finish, because on the guitar with the tailpiece like this, the tailpiece collapses and can scratch the finish. So in theory, we could just put the new bridge on these two posts, but I noticed that these two posts have some scratches right here, so I just want to remove them. Now, as I mentioned earlier, these posts are fairly loose inside of the bushings, and some people like to use Teflon tape. This is plumber's tape, and wrap the tape around the threaded portion so that when it's screwed in, it's tight. However, there are some people who feel that the Teflon tape will interfere with the electrical connection. Let me show you. This is a multimeter, and when you put it in this mode, you are testing continuity. So when the two probes touch, you hear a beep. That means that two parts are electrically connected. So if I touch this pickup and the switch, I know they are electrically connected to ground. If I touch this tailpiece, there is no connection, which means now the strings are not connected to ground. And that's because the strings are not touching this bushing. Now this bushing here is not electrically connected to ground, only this one. So some people feel that if we wrap Teflon tape around the post, it will interfere with the electrical connection. Now, to be honest, a Teflon tape would get completely crushed and you would still establish an electrical connection. But we are going to try without and see if we solve the tuning stability issue. Now remember, we put the bridge in this orientation, so this saddle, which is now on the D string, is a little bit more wiggly than any other saddle. I'm now going to restring the guitar with 11s. This is what Jim wants. And next time you see the guitar, it'll have strings on and we can test it. These are now all new strings. New strings need a little time to settle. But I did play the guitar a little bit, and it seems to me that the guitar does stay in tune. Why don't I play for you now? So obviously I want to bend strings so that we can see if it stays in tune. Now let's see if it did. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with this. So, now we have to wait a few days for the NanoFlex saddle pickup to arrive from Germany, and then we will finish the work on the acoustic guitar. As we wait for the package to arrive, we might as well do some prep work on the guitar. So as you recall, this is the old cable retainer that was hanging because it wasn't glued properly. That damaged the pickup. So this time we have to clean the surface better so that it adheres better. So I use naphtha for that. I always use this outside with gloves and a respirator because it's very toxic. I use microfiber cloths to clean. You don't want to use, it has to be lint free. You don't want to use the tissue for sure. So you'll have to find the right spot inside where to clean. I like to use an old wire, or in this case it's a cable tie. So when I reach inside, I'll be able to find where that is, and then that'll give me an idea where to clean. So it really doesn't take much naphtha. Just make sure you do this outside with gloves and respirator. And then just do your best to clean the area. I like to do it in 2 or 3 passes, and that's to make sure that that I'm in fact removing the old glue residue and not just smudging it around. Then the wood has to completely dry before we attempt to use the new double-sided tape. But we have time because we're waiting for the part. And now we're ready to finish the job because here it is. Let's have a look. So, Nanoflex pickup for acoustic and classical guitar, made in Germany. So I'm glad we didn't buy the pickups from AliExpress because often you actually don't get what's on the picture anyway. So this comes with, it comes with some putty, a new cable retainer, and the actual pickup. So the pickup has 2 sides. The the printed side has to face upwards. In other words, the saddle will be sitting, pressing down on the printed side. So if we now flip it around, it'll come out at a 30-degree angle, and then we have to make sure that this part is held by the cable retainer. So the whole thing will be like this, and we'll use this putty around here where the pickup, the transducer, enters through the bridge plate. So now let's just take Jim's guitar. I'm sure you noticed that I have 1 string left. I removed all the strings. I did some work on the frets, and now I'm going to show you how easy it is to install this. Make sure you test any electronics before you install them into any guitars. We just plug it in, and now we are simply going to plug the new pickup into the receptacle. We hear this pickup, and we hear this one. There is no hum. All right, so now we can unplug the guitar as we do this. I'm going to use the same trick to find exactly where to insert the pickup. I'm going to use a cable tie like this, and now when I go inside, I am going to find where that cable tie is. Now what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to find the actual spot where I can feel the cable tie. Yeah. And here it is. It's coming out. Once again, we want to make sure that the printed side is facing up. And now we just use our saddle we can put some tape. Or we can use a string. And simply put some tension on the string. Now I'm trying to single-handedly peel off that backing from the double-sided tape from the cable retainer. Okay, now it's peeled off, and I'm going to stick it here. We shouldn't forget our putty, so we just peel off the protection, and we just kind of make it into a shape so it goes around that part where the transducer comes out, the lead wire comes out. The putty goes all around this area over here, and then we already have the first cable retainer. There's another cable retainer in this area here. We secure the cable there. It's already plugged in. That's it. Yep. It's installed, so now I just want to plug it in again, and I guess I should show you. We have only one string now. Let me turn up the volume. This pickup works. This pickup works. There's no hum. Everything works fine. So now I'm just going to restring the guitar. These are the strings that Jim wants, and once we restring it, well, I'm actually going to do a little bit of setup work as well and finish the fret work, and then this guitar will be ready. And here it is with strings on. So let's play. We're done. One very important detail I need to share is that if a guitar is fitted with a shadow pickup and shadow preamp, and if you need to change the undersaddle pickup, it's not going to work if you try to use any number of generic undersaddle pickups, also called transducers. You need to use the actual shadow undersaddle pickup. Also, I did other work on both guitars. I did some minor work on the nuts, and I also lubricated those roller saddles on the Riviera guitar. But this video is getting already so long, I didn't include everything. I will make some separate videos about how to fix a nut or how to improve a nut, and perhaps I will also make a separate video on how to lubricate roller saddles. Yep. Don't forget to subscribe, share, like, what else? I forget. Oh yeah, there's links for to buy me a coffee and to become a patron. And I'll see you soon.